Right.
And one of the admins from Bankless said the next person who mentions like Hex or PulseChain
will
banned.
be blocked.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is going on? Like at this stage of the game, what is your beef? I don't even understand it, but what do you think?
Well, the estrogen runs deep with those two. So
So this Pulse listing on OKX. So yeah, was a big thing. Richard Hart was tweeting about it a lot. I've heard of OKX. Don't even know where it's located. Don't have an account there. Don't plan on getting an account there really. But he was tweeting about it, and it is, good to have this on an exchange already. You mentioned that it is common for a token to kind of have a bit of a plunge like this after a listing, which has happened. It hasn't been that big of one really, but
no.
My overall question, well, first we'll just focus on the exchange listing part of it, and then I want to get into why I think that credibility thing for Richard's products and PulseChain in particular will be so different this cycle. So overall, this early on in the game with PulseChain, getting that listing already on an exchange, albeit one that, I don't even know where it would rank overall, but what do you make of it? What's your overall feelings on a listing already on an exchange?
So we knew that was coming. We knew that they were a big sacrificer for the whole thing in the early days. So Richard had kind of mentioned it, I don't know, I guess it was a year and a half ago, stating that they had sacrificed and they would be listing it as soon as it launched, pretty much. So yeah, it's exciting. We can't, as U.S. citizens not using a VPN, we can't use it here. So
right.
I don't know if you're aware of that or not. It's overseas.
That's what I didn't even know where it was. Yeah, I wasn't even sure.
I'm not sure where they're located either. I didn't look into it that much, but it is good, especially for when there was as much backed up on the bridge. Had that stayed that way, I think it would have done that exchange a bigger favor. But now that the bridge is pretty wide open and it only takes 15-20 minutes, there may not be a necessity for them. Many of the community that's here are already decentralized folks, so they're going to use the DeFi technology, unless the fees are really that much cheaper to get into Pulse and then send it to your wallet that way.
Yeah. I've never heard of this place where this is. Is it pronounced Sakales or boy, I've never heard of this before. Maybe I'm just coming off like a dumbass live on air, but I've never heard of that in my entire life.
What are you talking? Where they're located?
Yeah, if this is a country, I've never even heard of it. It doesn't say, it doesn't list any other country. Yeah, it doesn't list it. I guess that is a country. I did not know of it. Maybe I need to get better on my geography. And sorry about that. If anybody in the chat knows what that is, then let me know. But yeah, if you do a Google, it'll show you just if you look for their location. But yeah, don't accept U.S. users. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. For people that were stuck on the bridge, and this has been an epidemic so far, and it's been alleviated a bit. But people who did sack, again, we've said a million times, the most common sacker of either of these tokens was for PulseX, and they didn't have much Pulse to be able to transact. Like most of them were just given one Pulse, which if you did anything in the first couple of hours was probably enough. I remember I moved some stuff around and it was a fraction of a Pulse. But since then, yeah, there's been that problem. There is a Pulse faucet that people have discovered multiple times. We talked about this too, but Hex people, just out of being genuine or generous and stuff like that, did send a Pulse and everything. So there's ways to accumulate it now, but that was a problem early on, and that liquidity to be able to get new users to use it. So it's definitely good. And I wonder, all right, so where I'm really going with this, and I sent this to you yesterday, we both saw it, but Sami tweeting out stuff. Your friend Sami on Twitter, if you somehow don't know him, phenomenal follow, phenomenal YouTube channel.
Yeah.
He tweeted, he always comes with the goods as far as like observing what mainstream shows are talking about and stuff, and shows like what is going on in the what he calls like the mid curve, like just average people who are doing, getting average results. And Bankless obviously falls under that. Bankless podcast, if you don't know it, two guys that, have all kinds of sponsorships, basically, like most big crypto podcasts, back things that are not actually crypto or like make deals with exchanges. And I don't know anything specific they're involved in. I don't listen to them or anything like that. So I don't want to talk out of turn completely. But we're obviously telling the truth by saying that they shit on Hex frequently. They don't like Richard Hart. They actually applauded on their show and said thank you to the SEC for like sending notices of like inquiries to Hex users and stuff.
Right.
Like they thanked the SEC. So just to let you know who these people are, forget about Hex. They're thanking the SEC going, looking into like crypto stuff. These are people who don't even tell you what's a security, what's a commodity, and they don't care at all about providing any clarity.
Okay? And how ironic, coming from someone that heavily promoted FTX and Celsius and BlockFi.
Yeah. Yes. More than anything in the world, it's just the greatest, like, it's the most insane contradiction, one of the most insane contradictions I've ever seen. Like all of these different channels, like them, that they're maybe the biggest one though. Altcoin Daily, which I won't shit on too much, even though I don't enjoy their content. But I did see like at the Bitcoin conference that Gary, Funding Jim, and some other Hex people were chatting it up with one of those dudes. I don't know.
Yeah,
they look exactly the same to me. I don't know which is which, but
yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, but Bankless mainly, those are really the offenders here. And anyway, so my point is, Sami shared a tweet where in some, I don't know if it was Telegram, some chat, somebody said like, man, Pulse is pumping right now. Or just said something about PulseChain, like an innocent thing about PulseChain. It didn't seem like they were trolling or whatever.
Right.
And one of the admins from Bankless said the next person who mentions like Hex or PulseChain will
be blocked.
Yeah. Yeah. What is going on? Like at this stage of the game, what is your beef? I don't even understand it, but what do you think?
Well, the estrogen runs deep with those two. So it's just a bunch of hate. And again, it's a sponsorship. They I think a lot of it stems from the memes, the crying memes that the Hexicans got. I mean, they jumped all over that whenever dude broke into tears on stream about Richard Hart's tweet. He's like, hi, that's all he said. Yeah. He's like, so yeah, there's a lot of angst amongst them with us, and maybe rightfully so, but they deserve it. They deserve every bit of it. So yeah, I don't pay attention to those guys. In fact, I think I have them either blocked or muted as well. So I choose not to hear a lot of this stuff from these guys. When someone retweets it, I'll see it. But that's about it. I don't care what they have to say. They're just shilling reference link idiots as far as I'm concerned. That's all they do. They put out a show, they shill their reference link, they want you to trade, they want you to do all the things that you shouldn't be doing, and that's them.
HexPassiveIncome.com. My friend Crypto Coffee has created what I think is probably the best course for a new cryptocurrency investor. Not only that, but these courses usually charge an arm and a leg. Crypto Coffee is only charging $200. I think right now he actually has a discount for $150. I have a link below in the description. If you are new to crypto, do not understand Hex and how it works, click the link below. It's a quick, easy course. He only gives you the basics. I personally, myself, have thought about creating an intro to crypto course in the past. I don't think there's any reason to do so because Matt, Crypto Coffee, has already taken care of that. And I don't think anything needs to be added by anybody else. So check it out. The link is in the description, and sign up to Hex Passive Income today.
It's a shame. It's a shame, but I guess it's also par for the course in anything with finance because, look at legacy finance. Okay. If you're going out like looking for money tips and stuff like that, like you're going to be led to, well, I guess maybe be led to like Dave Ramsey early on, but and I'm not going to be critical of him necessarily because for the average frankly dumb person, I mean, it is going to be good advice, frankly,
Yeah.
that they can handle. But, you know, in terms of with finance, I mean, with anything, you're going to have people that, again, that mid curve term, like the average people are going to tell you average things. They're not really going to reveal to you like what you actually have to do to succeed. And we're seeing the same thing in crypto. Like we're seeing the same thing where like the biggest shows, the biggest podcasts, the biggest reach. I'm still not. I really don't like what BitBoy has been doing, even remotely lately. This whole launching his own name token and everything. And I know, like within like great crypto communities, like in the Hex people and stuff like that, he won himself some favor having Richard on for a period of time. But I don't care about any of that. I just don't like. I've never liked his content. The portfolio he shares is definitely something to fade. You know, and then this whole he's a draw. He's another one. He's a shiller, all about himself, constantly. He made a coin after his own name that's useless. Yeah. He's dumping it on people. It's just, I mean, it may even be. I'd probably want to hang out with him more than the Bankless boys, but yeah, not a fan. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, like the stuff that people are going to be attracted to first is the worst entry points usually.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of BitBoy either. Like I said, I've watched some of his stuff only because Richard was on. But even Richard doesn't follow him. You know, he's admitted that many times. Even they've gone to concerts together, they've hung out and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just again all the drama that was created with, you know, I thought there for a minute he was doing some good things trying to help the people
for a minute.
That lost their money on FTX when he went to the Bahamas and all that stuff. But the more it just played out, the more it was just for views, for clicks. You know, he was doing it for the clicks. So
yeah, I don't think he cared much about the SPF thing.
No, I don't either. I think it was just a play to get as much views as possible.
Yeah, I agree. But more to the main point, like what I'm asking is, and I'm only mentioning Bankless and these guys because they are the big channels, and I'll, you know, I'll throw Altcoin Daily in there too because at least Gary was able to talk to them down there. But this idea of PulseChain bringing more, again, quote unquote, credibility from, you know, other crypto people this cycle. I mean, I guess because it is a layer one blockchain and it's now a bigger whole ecosystem. It's not just Hex, which is, you know, what Richard has always positioned it as a better Bitcoin, which I think it has obviously served to be. You know, right. Bitcoin was meant to be a means of payment. It's now clearly a store of value. Hex is a better version of that so far. But I guess my question is just because I'm curious, like, why do you think it took this to start to get him and all of these products more credibility? Do you think it will only get bigger in the bull market because of what we're seeing with PulseChain? I mean, I think I know the answer to that, but, and then when will these final people, Bankless, maybe we just have to throw them in the trash and they never will because of the reasons you stated about being paid shillers and stuff like that. Yep. But what will get these final people that I don't even know what the beef could be anymore. Like on a personal level, it's like, well, forget Richard, like, look at these products. People want them, you know? Yeah. So yeah, what do you think? Like why is this going to give it more credibility, do you think, than just Hex, and how will it get, I guess?
Well, it's a whole ecosystem. Once things start to develop, you know, I've seen a couple people say, yeah, but the only volume is PulseX. That's your exchange. That's it. That's the only thing driving it. And I'm like, yes, but look at the numbers. Mm-hmm. Look at how it jumped to the number 3 blockchain, or number 2, until Binance created a bunch of fake volume, right? You know, just to pass us back up, to put us back into 3rd. Yeah. So yeah, wait till all these platforms like Liquid Loans and Power City and Fiat and Famous and all of those different things that are about to take. I mean, there's so many more that haven't even come out yet. So it's going to be nuts. So look out. Yeah, I mean, it's going to solidify its validity here as soon as all this stuff starts to take off. You know, it's not going to be just the chain that Richard built to support another Hex or to
Right.
give people a bunch of free coins, or and then what happens when those communities see what's going on and they come over and they start playing with their free tokens that they got, adding some liquidity, and who knows? It's going to take a little time. It's going to take several months probably, but the timing couldn't be any better. We're pretty much at the bottom of the markets now. It's only going to get better from here. We got a little bit of a head start, I think, on the bull market. So. Yeah, I mean, it's the walls are going to come down. The walls are going to come down this cycle, and we're going to see, those crazy predictions that we may be talking about here shortly. So,
yeah, I think you're right. It's just going to be interesting to see. It's in layers and it goes slow, but
yeah,
we've seen Ivan on Tech is a guy obviously who's been open to it for quite some time and
Yep.
really seems to get it. But I mean,
and who cares about the other guys? Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah,
let them drown their audience. They'll see it eventually, and they'll all leave. Most of their audience anyway is paid. They bought subscriptions. You see how many people that are in Hex that ratio all their posts. It's like they're not real people.
It's so great.
It happens all the time. All Coin Daily, especially. Hexo, he ratios. Yeah, he does. And they finally started to talk about it. So,
I heard I heard they led the show. I'm sure it wasn't for very long, but they led the show talking about PulseChain launch the other day.
Yep.
Huh.
So they
I should actually find that.
Finally read the room and said, "Hey, something going on here that's pretty exciting." So
that's the funny thing. Like Hex was crazy enough with people just acting like it didn't exist on those channels. This, I don't know if they're going to be able to deny and
no, they can't hide it. They can't. They can't hide it.
And you're right. I don't really care. It's just on like an approval level. Like I'm going to be involved in it either way. It's just fascinating to me. Like just the psychology of what, when these people will capitulate. But yeah, certainly the listing on OKX is a good thing this early on. And we'll continue to look.